Hello and welcome to Politics. My guests today are Jacques Millard, he's a member of parliament for the Conservative Party, Karine Berger, member of parliament of the Socialist Party, and Raquel Garrido, international spokesperson for the Left Front. Welcome to the three of you. French bosses have cranked up the pressure on President François Hollande by publishing an open letter asking the government to lower social charges on jobs by 30 billion euros over 2 years and slash public spending by 60 billion euros over 5 years. It's key to restore France's competitiveness, they say. Let's hear what Martine Aubry has to say, and we're back to you.
If I was a company director, I would help the government. I would help the government instead of asking myself, would my shareholders get upset if they got a little less money out of me? And I'd tell them to think about France, think about the French. They're your employees. They're expecting to work in your companies. They're ready to bring ideas, skills, talent. So stop lecturing people and get back to work.
She's the former head of the French Socialist Party. Karine Berger, what do you think what she just said? Basically stop giving the lessons.
Well, in fact, the French government is absolutely committed to restore the competitiveness of France. So François Hollande has made an important speech last week on the competitiveness of France. We are going to have an announcement next week. So it's a little strange to hear companies explaining that we should do that and that. Just let's wait until the government make proposals on competitiveness. And I mean, what they said, what they propose is not exactly what is needed for France either.
They want to lower the charges?
Well, in fact, they explain that we need to lower the charges, but they explain also that we need to increase fiscal pressure on households, on consumption. It's not possible in our exactly, by increasing VAT. It's not possible right now. We have a very, very, let's say, fragile, weak consumption. If we cut consumption in France, we are going to have the French economy collapse. So their proposal, we hear them, but let's wait that the government make very strong proposal next week on competitiveness.
Strong proposal we're expecting. Jacques Millard, what's your reaction?
Well, I'm glad to hear that from my partner in the parliament, even socialist, that we need to improve our competitiveness. The fact is that the bosses of the enterprise, even those who are classified on the left-hand side of the political scene, are asking because for this lowering of charges, because when they look at the policy of the government, it is just the opposite, because they have tax enterprise, they have tax also, by the employees, by suppressing. So the anti-policy of the government is just opposite what should be done, and they have expanded some, some expenses, like this question of engaging 60,000 of teachers in schools. So the entire policy, which has been conducted until now, is just the opposite that should be done. When they suppress this question of social VAT, which is in fact an inside devaluation of the Eurozone, as Germany has done in the past years, the point is that if they don't do that, if they don't devalue, that means extend the competitiveness of the French enterprise, they will have to get out of the euro. This is the only alternative to that.
So that means raise VATs, that's what you say?
Pardon?
Raise the VAT.
Well, if you raise the VAT, because, then you will lower the charges. This is what we have done. This was the only intelligent, fiscal policy that the former government has done before.
Sarkozy.
Yeah, I say it very
the only
clearly.
Okay.
This was a very clever tool to increase our competitiveness, and also by, you will tax the importation and you will tax the tourist, and you lower the charges on the enterprise. This was very intelligent, and they just eradicate it. They just suppress it. This is absolutely silly.
It's just incredible. The right wing has been in power in France for 10 years. They have been ruling the country for the past 10 years, and they have decided to make this price competitiveness shock that is to increase taxes on households during the last 3 months of the 10 years.
Before
so
we
it-
had,
maybe-
we had a huge crisis.
Maybe it was clever,
on
but
which
they,
we
you were,
should-
you were,
we have
you were
managed
not, you
to
were not
maintain-
at all
we
on
have
this
managed
line.
to
You did not
maintain
do
the
that.
purchase
You
power
never
of the
did
French.
that. You
And
never
we
did
have
that.
we
Never.
have succeeded
Never,
by
ever.
having no deflation in France. This was the target that we have achieved.
Raquel Guerrero, a reaction from you, also from what Martine Aubry said about the CEOs. Is she right to say that they shouldn't give lessons?
Well, they say what they have to say and what they want to say. They're playing a political role against this socialist government. But the socialist government should be firm in front of them because for at least one reason is that the issue they're putting on the table, which is the international competitiveness, which is actually the ability to export, is not the core problem of France's economy today. It represents 20% of France's wealth. And what they omit to say is that if you lower wages, if you increase VAT, what happens to the other 80% of the wealth that is produced in France with local consumption? If people have no money to spend on the rest of the 80% of the economy, there is no French economy possible. So the very egoistic solution proposed by these few bosses should be marginalized, if not ignored, and at least politically defeated, because these people are putting at stake the actual possibility for France to relaunch its economy. What we need is actually to increase
But they create
wages
jobs. That's
and
it.
to finance public services, to put investment. That's what's needed in France today.
How do you do that when you tax 22 billion more taxes next year? How do you do that?
billion
We should
How
tax
do you do
more.
that?
That's what
You
we
should
say.
tax more.
Yes, but
And
that's
then
the
you will
people.
reduce again, you will reduce again the purchasing power of the employers.
We are
Karen
just, we
Berger.
are just
Karen Berger
correcting,
react.
Focus
we
on
are
the same
just
people.
correcting the terrible, this unacceptable situation of public finance that you have led to us.
No
you have
crisis. There
you
was
have,
no
You have
crisis.
put the country
There
in
was no
bankruptcy.
crisis,
You
of
have
course.
Put, you have
know,
put
when
the
we-
country
when we
in
s-
bankruptcy,
when we-
and we are the first. We are the first to correct the debt. We are
You are
stopping
kidding
the
or what?
increasing of the
Are you
debt.
kidding or what?
No, I'm not kidding.
You are
I'm
lying
not
to
kidding.
yourself.
I'm not
You are
kidding.
lying to the French
Karen Berger,
nation,
but it's
and you are
true.
lying to the French economy when you say such
You
things.
are lying. You
No,
are
no,
the liar.
this
Jacques
is very grave what you say. I
are
can
the
tell
liar.
you that
Just-
because you ignore what was
You
the
have ruined our
situation.
country.
You
You
have
have
been
ruined
elected
our country.
on a wrong message,
Well,
and
to
you are
make-
going to pay for it.
Actually, it's been 10 years that the trade balance has been.
I can explain that.
There's a big deficit
do that
for 10
also.
years. For 10
Don't
years.
worry.
So just Karen Berger, there are actually taxes that were raised on companies, which is actually 10 billion euros, and that's what actually they're against.
The 10 billion increase is only the suppression of exemption. In France, we are in a situation which has never been corrected by the former government. The big companies are paying an average tax rate 10 points under the tax rate of SMEs, of small and medium companies. So we have started correcting the problem. That is, we have lowered by a third this gap, which is an incredible, unfair competition for SMEs compared to big companies. So these 10 billion are just fiscal justice for SMEs, for little enterprise, for small companies.
Let's hear to what Valérie Pécresse says about it. She basically says with 20 billion euros of fiscal taxes for 2013, Jean-Marc Ayrault has chosen fiscal suicide. She's the former Minister of Budget and she's from the UMP, the Conservative Party.
It's very hypocritical. You can't say that and in the same time say bosses can't give us an ultimatum, they have to mind their own business. Well, their business is their companies, it's employment. And today, Jean-Marc Ayrault has chosen fiscal suicide for the French economy, and that means that he is stigmatizing all those who are investing, creating, succeeding, taking initiatives. It's not the France that we want to live in.
Raquel Guerrero, a reaction to that.
It's true that the good solution isn't to tell them to shut up. I mean, it's pretty arrogant to say so. What we need to do is convince people that what they're saying is wrong. And first of all, what they're saying has been actually done by Sarkozy. Lowering the cost of labor is exactly what Sarkozy has done in the past 10 years. And that has conduced to 700,000 suppression of jobs in the industry. So just they suddenly wake up and tell France to do what Sarkozy was doing and what France has democratically defeated, because the right wing was defeated in the elections. So what we need today is to propose a left manner to face the crisis. The crisis does not come from the debt. The crisis comes from a financial crisis that has been imported by the United States. So what we need is to give that fight against finance, put the banking sector back on track, give the state the means of investment in public services, of relaunching the economy with local consumption.
Is that what Jean-Marc Ayrault is doing?
Absolutely not, because they believe, the Socialist Party believes in austerity. But we think it's a wrong solution, and as it has been shown in Greece, in Spain, in Portugal, and elsewhere. And it's pretty dangerous. So that's why there is another left-wing solution in France, which is the Front de Gauche. And it's
how
the
do
program.
You do that?
Well, first of all, the financial aspect of putting the shareholders out of the enterprises to give the power to the producers, which are the industrials and the workers.
So, but how do you do that? You nationalized?
If need be, but that's very dogmatic. As long as businesses work for the general interest, there's no need a priori for nationalizations. But if need comes, why not? For instance, we have the problem of Mittal today with the iron industry. I mean, do we want that to leave France or not? And if we don't, well, we have to think of putting public means into that.
Nationalizing ArcelorMittal?
Why not? If we think it's a strategic production, if we think that whatever iron is needed in France should be produced in France, for one thing at least, is because it's not ecological to bring it from other countries in so high levels. Well, if we think it's strategic, then there should be public means in the industry. That's not a problem. The opposing that would be dogmatic. This crisis needs concrete action.
I don't want any lesson from Mrs. Pécresse. She was in charge of the budget of France for the last 2 years, and she offered us 600 billion euros of debt more during the period of that Mr. Sarkozy was president. So how can she dare explain how to, manage a budget of France? Our first goal is to close the deficit, to go back to the minus 3% of public deficit next year, and to stop.
You will reach it?
And we will reach it. No problem, no issue, we will reach it. And the second goal is to sustain growth. And to sustain growth, there is 2 legs. There is the purchasing power of household, and there is, of course, the competitiveness, that is innovation, research, what we call in France, let's say, the out of price competitiveness. They are the 2 legs that on which we are going to build the economic policy next year.
Jacques Millard.
Well, hold on. I wish to say a word. I wish to say a word. You have spoken. Now it's my turn. Sorry.
Go ahead.
First of all, when I hear that Karine says that, of course, we have 600 billion debts more, you have to realize why. Because we live in a single currency in which, the banking system, the central banking system, have been practicing a monetary policy which has impeded French investment, impede French competitiveness, and the crisis that they ignore, in which they said when they were elected, there is no crisis, we will change the European Treaty. You said it, and you did not do that because you could not do that, or you just jump out of the system. And this is what you refuse. And in fact, you are in a straitjacket today. You are in a straitjacket and the noose around the neck because there is no alternative in this system. And this is why I have been demanding for months and years that the central banks will monetize the debts, and for that the state can invest, because there are no more investment throughout, except in Germany, throughout the Eurozone. And this is genuine suicide. And we are going to pay it very gravely.
Well, Stiglitz confirms this analysis and Nobel Prizes and many people along
Left-wing Mia.
along
I
the
was
world.
spoken this way.
But if I may use one
you
example,
ignore the single currency
Mr.
problem
Mia.
because you are dogmatic.
Mr. Mia,
ECB is supposed to be independent.
first of all, your friends, your boss friends, don't ask for a devaluation. So you
Oh,
defend them,
they
but they
ask
don't
it
say a
now.
word about that issue, which is
This is devaluation what they
could be
ask for.
important
Internal
export-wise.
devaluation.
But to come back to the issue of research and the other innovation. I teach in university, for instance, and I can tell you that I have never seen poorer conditions of study than this year. It's not because of the election that the situation is bad this year.
Because of the crisis,
but
right?
no, it's because of the consistent impoverishment of public university in France for the past 10 years, which needs
this is not
massive reversal.
No, we have
I
invested in university.
Third
that
year
never-
in law school,
has
we
never
have
been
50 people in our classes. It's impossible. So we talk and blah about research innovation, but there is need for public infrastructure. But what happens if you agree on a treaty that forbids public investment because you're limited to 0% or 0.5% deficit, then where's the solution? There is no solution. That's why exactly we need to get out of those constraints and those treaties to put money where it's needed.
So, Karine Berger, we have 1 minute left.
Parti
What are
Socialist
you
and
going to do
François
for
Hollande
innovation
and the government
research?
are fully in the Eurozone, and we disagree fully on the idea that we were not going to apply the European treaty and the European rules. And of course, we are disagreeing also with the idea of Mr. Mia, who is absolutely the only one in UMP to explain that
I am
European
no more
Bank
the only
has
one,
to
my dear.
monetize
Many
the
people
debt.
say that I am going to be right.
Some new solutions
we
in
have,
the
we have, we
Gallup
have an
report.
incredible, we have two tools. We have an incredible tool, which is Crédit Impôt Recherche, research
We've
for
done that.
research.
We
No,
have done that.
1983.
We have done that, not you.
1983, Mr. Mia.
I'm sorry.
1983.
We have done that.
He's
We
lying.
have done
He's
that.
lying. He's lying. He's
No,
lying.
I'm
Which
not
is a way,
lying.
which is a
This
way
is
to help.
Yes,
This
and,
is
and
a
of course we are
company
going
for
to
research.
make
Precarious
a
innovation.
deep reform on the taxes on benefits, on company benefits. Companies who are going
Profits?
to
We have
profits.
started that before.
Companies,
This is
companies.
pure rubbish.
He's lying all the
No,
time.
no, I am not
Companies-
lying. You are lying
let's
yourself.
Companies
Jacques Mia, let her
who
finish.
decide to invest are going to have a low tax rate, whereas the companies who decide to give money to too much money on dividends are going to have another tax rate. It's a huge way to increase the benefits, the rentability, the profitability, of French
We have
companies
done that in the
as
past.
soon as next year.
This is technical,
we have-
technical tools, which, of course, I agree can help, but it is not enough.
It's not enough. Okay, we might have a surprise next week. You were saying about the Gallois report, which is actually we're going to know what's in it on
Yeah,
next
it's been
Monday.
rewriting it. It's been rewriting it.
I doubt it addresses one of the important issues, which is the cost of capital in this country. Because we talk about the cost of labor, but what about the cost of capital? The dividends have never
Cost-
been so high, and that is
Cost
a
and
real problem.
competitiveness are really a political issue in France. Thanks to the three of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching and stay tuned on France 24.